My name is Marybeth Edeen. I'm the manager of the National Lab Office, and while this is not exclusively a National Lab meeting, there are lots of aspects about NASA research as well. We hope that we can, through the next 3 days, show you why you would want to do research on Space Station, how you can go get funding to do research on Space Station, and then the process, the top-level process that you have to follow to get through that and get your research to Space Station. This is the first time we've done a meeting like this, so it's going to be a little rough in spots, and we are looking for feedback. We'd really like to know if this meets your needs or if there's things you'd like us to do differently next time. We'll see how this goes and figure out whether we do it again, how frequently and where we should do it. We've talked about we probably need to move it around to the East Coast and the West Coast and maybe up north near Glenn and some of the other centers, but we'll figure all that out. But we are interested in your feedback and any comments or things that you think need to be added or things that you think were just overwhelming and maybe need to be separated out for a separate session. So we'd appreciate you providing that kind of feedback. Tomorrow and Thursday, maybe we'll have some little cards or questionnaires for you to fill out if you choose. No pressure if you want to. If not, that's okay too. As Kendall mentioned, let me mention quickly the lunch buffet. The hotel has set up a lunch buffet that is from 11 to 1. That's at the door of the restaurant, which is way back around past the front desk and then back down by the water. There's the Paradise Reef restaurant. They've set up a $12 all-inclusive tax and gratuity kind of thing. You can pay cash, credit card, whatever. It's a buffet. There's 3 entrees, vegetables, starches, desserts, all that kind of stuff. But that'll be set up so that it'll be quick and you'll be able to get in and out in a reasonable time period. As far as the agenda today, we're going to focus mostly on the microgravity effects on physical and biological systems and talk about all the different capabilities of station and then why you'd want to do research. These first, most of today is not necessarily about specific research, but about what happens when you're in microgravity or what the platform is useful for, so you can take those differences and figure out what research then is appropriate for your area. Tomorrow we'll focus on research opportunities that are out there. Our NIH colleagues will be here. Our other NASA research opportunities will be discussed. And then in the afternoon, we have a group of companies that we refer to as implementation partners, people who've done this before, who've either built hardware or taken it through the system, who can be your buddy and your pal and hide most of that NASA bureaucracy for you, and they love to do that kind of stuff. So they'll all get up and talk, and they're also the ones who are in the 2 rooms, the Baccarat and the other room, and they've got tables set up to show you their specific hardware and to talk to you about different capabilities of their companies. And then on the 3rd day, we'll focus on the process that it takes to get from I have an idea and I have funding to here's how I can get to station, here's all the paperwork and things. That's not meant to frighten you, just to give you an overview. Find yourself a nice implementation partner. They'll go do all that, and they'll just bug the scientists for the science piece of it. So, the very last session is by invitation only, and that's really a working session for our payloads office guys, our process owners, and some of our experienced implementation partners to kind of hash through some issues and questions and see where we can improve processes and stuff. If you're interested in that session and you think you have something to add, please see me sometime in the next few days, and we'll talk about whether you really think it'd be beneficial, and then we can figure out who needs to be there and who doesn't. So with that, then I'd like to introduce Mr. Rod Jones. He's the manager of the payloads office. His office is responsible for all of the payloads that go to station, getting them up there, getting them operated, getting the data back, and essentially making station a useful platform for something other than really cool vehicle stuff. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful assembly in and of itself, but it's not really useful if we aren't doing research on it. So with that, Rod?
Okay, thank you, Kendall and Marybeth. My name's Rod Jones, like it was pointed out by Marybeth, and I am the manager of the payloads office. One of the interesting artifacts I found out when I took over this job is that I don't actually build any payloads. I operate payloads, and we do integration for payloads. Our job is really to optimize the use of the space station as a research platform. And so the last day is about how to do that. The first 2 days are really about to help you understand why we would use the space station, why you should use the space station, and then help you make connections with the groups that can help you implement your ideas in scientific research, and the paths by which you need to get there. So next slide, please. So I'm going to give you a quick overview, and then I'm going to get off stage. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about what the station can do. Dr. Julie Robinson, after me, will give you an overview of its functions and capabilities so that you can get right to what you need to know. But this is just a graphic we use in some of our presentations. If you consider the circle, all the capability of what space station has on orbit, and let's say in the way of volume, measured by volume, about 25% of the volume is the partners' volume. They own that, and that's their right to use and prioritize the research that they're going to do. That would be the lower section. The upper right section would represent NASA's funded research programs and its use of the station. And the left side is the infamous National Lab allocation. And you can see, as we've shown it here, it represents about 50% of the leftover capacity of the NASA capability. And that's why we always say National Lab is about 50% of the station capability. This is just one resource. This would be just a volumetric kind of a concept. And that's not really related to crew hours or crew time or UpMass directly. But it gives you an idea. There's just quite a lot of capacity we have up there that's going to be unused by NASA in the near future. Next slide, please. Again, we in our office don't determine the science that goes on space station. It's given to us in the form of priorities from other groups within NASA or other organizations like the newest one, the National Lab. And what we've tried to do here is provide you a listing of the paths, and that's on the left-hand side, those bubbles that you saw on the NASA side and of the NASA research in the previous chart, of how science is selected by these organizations and then brought to us by the selecting official and then fed into our integration folks that are just at the entrance of our organization, and then later you'll see how that feeds into our organization. So we've given you a list of names here. This list is somewhat dynamic in the changes that are going on at headquarters, but it's the best list we have to date. So these are folks you would want to contact later on. Next slide, please. There are also, as you can imagine, payload entrance points to the space station itself, and the integration process changes depending on the kind of payload. As much as 2 years out, the bottom row, we have products that collect these requirements, and we start to make sure that we can balance them against what we think the resources are in terms of up mass and down mass and on-orbit capacity. At the L-24 to 12 month, we have the research planning working group, which takes all these requirements and tries to break them into 6-month intervals. We call expeditions or increments. And then at L-12, we have what I would call the near-term tactical and real-time team that breaks it into daily activities. You could bring payloads in any one of these timeframes, depending on the type of payload it is, the maturity of the payload, whether it has standard interfaces to the station or not. And this, again, just to try to give you an idea of the folks that you would be in touch with once you were selected by your sponsoring organization and how they would feed into our organization at NASA. Next slide, please. So again, we don't do prioritization, and the purpose of this chart is to show who prioritizes and basically how that flows up into the real-time operations. The newest block is the top, the National Lab organization that's in its process of being selected and formed over the next year. They will be the point of contact for all the not-for-profits and other agency, other non-NASA agencies. They will integrate those priorities and feed them into us, the Payloads Office. We have the NASA, which is represented by the red, and these are our directorates and organizations at headquarters that will be the funding paths and streams in the future. Again, they will collect and prioritize for NASA and feed into our organization. We have a responsibility for integrating CSA, ESA, and JAXA. They have allocations, so they do their prioritization and then feed into us. What we do at the point of the purple box or the purple circle node is that we take the inputs and we literally put them like a puzzle into their various allocations. Each of these organizations has been given an allocation, similar to the previous chart I showed you, the way the volume is divided up. They have research time, up mass, and our job is to get those things in rack and stack and fill up the missions in order to be the most efficient missions possible in flights. And then it goes into the real-time planning and with the increment management and ISS operations. Next chart, please. This is our organization. Other than just see where we fit in the food chain, of course, Mr. Gerstenmaier is our associate administrator. Mark Uran is the assistant for Space Station and provides us currently most of our science priorities and prioritization for the NASA research. In the future, there will be a national lab organization that feeds into this flow chart. Of course, we all here in this room work for Mr. Suffredini, and we have Dr. Julie Robinson and Marybeth Edeen that you just met, who provides research interface for our research planning organizations and teams. And then we have the research planning organization that does the increment definition, the payload mission management, which does the tactical planning and daily planning, and then the teams down here that do all the operations, hardware verification and checkout, software interface checkout and verification. We have a projects office, PSS support at a Marshall, that's Annette Sled's organization, and of course KSE and the Real-Time Operations Center at Marshall. Next slide. These next 3 slides we won't go into, but you will get a much more detailed briefing on these. I'm trying to catch us up here. We're a little behind time. But it basically shows that we have a planning process that goes from strategic to post-flight. The strategic can take place anywhere from L-24 on in, and we mature the missions into the tactical, we conduct real-time operations, and then we have post-flight. So all of our planning is integrated in an increment module, so to speak, and of course a payload could be up for many modules or many increments. The next chart, please. Okay, again, we're not going to go through this. We'll let the various teams on the third day, Thursday, talk you more detail, but basically this just shows how we get our requirements in. Next chart. And then how we finally put them into the final mission integration tactical plans. So I think that's all I had to say. I just want to, again, thank you all for coming. This is a great turnout for this event for us. And again, please provide us feedback at the end of this to see if it was helpful. Thank you.